Love you, so welcome back to this channel. If you're new here, my name is Belinda Strana. Thank you so much for all the love and support. To my returning subscribers, to those people that share my videos, leave commentaries, and also educate each and every one of us. You guys are the real MVP. So I came across this video right for you, and I thought to share with you guys. Well, Face Maga supporter is all out confessing on how she was able to deceive people, making them see her and her profession as a safe place. But at the end of the day, she actually felt that she actually disappointed these people. It's kind of a confession, and this got people reacting. And I was able to put up some of those stitches. I'm just going to roll the clip as well as the stitches I was able to put together. Please leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video. And please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We're just here for educational and informative purposes.
Okay, so I have a confession that I don't want to make. My ego does not want me to share this with the world. And I realized that after having a conversation with two really incredible humans in my life today, that I have been really suppressing and shoving down something for the last 4 months that is really impacting the way that I'm showing up in my business. And I know a lot of you follow me because you love the way that I have helped you regulate. You love the way that I have taught you about trauma. You have really enjoyed learning from me. And my genuine hope is that after I say this, that you still like me. I hope you still like me. I hope you still think well of me the way you did. So I didn't vote for Kamala Harris. I voted for Trump. And yes, I am a multiracial owner of a trauma institute, mom of a non-binary kiddo, and somebody who works in the social justice, social work spaces, helping people with trauma recovery and nervous system regulation. And so some of you, your flabbers are gasted right now, right? Some of you have already went ahead and scrolled. Some of you are starting to write comments about how upset you are. And that's cool. Here's the thing. This is actually not about how I voted. I have been suppressing and repressing my authentic self-expression, not around who I voted for or what my politics are, because I actually do not think that who you vote for is the way in which I should classify you or that anybody should classify you. I do not think that that is the most interesting thing about you. I do not think that that is the most important thing about you. And I have really learned not to make assumptions about people based on who they voted for after experiencing what I've experienced. 4 years ago, I remember going on Facebook and talking about how I was really struggling to choose who I was going to vote for. And I got absolutely ripped apart. Absolutely just got my hindquarters handed to me by people who told me that who wanted to remind me that I was Black and I was a woman and I was a nurse and I was somebody in these social wellness spaces. And so how could I even think about voting any other way than one way? I got called an Uncle Tom. I got called names that I cannot repeat on here. I was just dragged for sharing that I was struggling to choose between what felt like a rock and a hard place. And this election felt very similar to me. And the thing that made it not feel similar, the thing that kind of really pushed me over into one camp, was actually the very values and the very things that we teach at our trauma institute. I was listening to people tell me who were saying that they were tolerant and kind and compassionate and cared about humanity and really cared about the wellness of all people. I was listening to them say things and call people names and do things for the sake of justice and the sake of tolerance that were so out of alignment with those values that I couldn't not see it anymore. And after the election, I had a conversation with a very dear human in my life. And one of the things I said to them is, at our institute, we teach about 3 core needs. We teach about the need for physical safety, psychological safety, and choice and agency. And the humans that I am hearing tell me that they are the most scared and they are terrified and they are so angry and so upset, and that I am holding space for. I am creating and helping foster regulation in these humans after the election. I am supporting them. They are leaning on me to become more regulated. They are coming to me to help them recover from what feels like a very traumatic experience, and I am helping them, and they are grateful for it. They are actively able to self-express. They are able to tell me, they are able to talk about in the world, in public, how scared they are and how worried they are and how angry they are and how dysregulated they are. And I am sitting here knowing that if I choose to even share where I'm coming from, I'm going to get canceled. I'm going to lose business. I'm going to lose psychological safety with humans who trusted me and who cared about me as a person until they find out this thing. And it reminded me of so many experiences I had when I was in high school and in college, and I would end up in these areas where people were racist. People were like actively, capital R, racist. And they wouldn't realize that I was part black. And they would say things and I would recognize like, oh, I'm not safe here. I can't let people know that this is the identity that I hold, because if I do, I'm going to get torn to bits. And that was exactly what this felt like. And so for the last 4 months, I have been kind of just out here preaching regulation and helping people be more get to a place where they can have a broader perspective, and they can come out of this like absolute terror state and really recognize that most of us, practically 100% of us, really just want everyone to be able to be physically safe and to feel like they belong and to feel like they're loved and to feel like they have some sort of choice and agency in their lives. And that's really it. That's what 99.999% of us want. So I've been working to do that. And the entire time I've been doing this, there's been this part of me that's like, yeah, but if they just knew, if they knew, Lee, if they knew that this is what you did, if they knew that this is, and it doesn't even matter why. It doesn't matter your justifications. It doesn't matter, the fact that you studied this for dozens of hours and hours and hours and just like really felt into this and like tried to make the best choice you could. It doesn't matter. The moment they find this out, you're done. You're cooked. And what I realized is I don't want to run a business like this, because the very thing I teach people to do is to be regulated and to be able to create spaces for others to come in and feel safe and feel like they belong and feel like they care. And I am doing this and I am considering everybody else and I am leaving myself out. So I'm done doing that. If the way in which somebody votes determines if you can love them or like them or be in connection with them or not, okay, that's your choice. If you learning this about me means that you no longer want to be connected to me, or you want to bash my business, or you want to do whatever, that is your choice. And I really invite you to consider what has changed. Because for the last 4 months, we've been connected. For the last however long, we've been connected. And you liked me. And we got along. And you thought we held some of the same values, and I think we still do. And we cared about a lot of the same things. And so is it possible? Is it possible that maybe whatever we identify with politically is not the most important identity that we hold? Is it possible that diversity of thought is the priority that we get to focus on moving forward as American citizens and as a world, and that is the one thing that will save us all? Is it possible that being able to tolerate someone else believing something that scares us and being able to get into conversation with them, that might be the very answer to things actually going in a direction that we want them to go? So again, you're free to do whatever you do. Unfollow me, follow me, share, don't share. And this isn't a place for you to inject your lack of psychological safety or to try to make me feel bad about what I did or how I see the world anymore, because I'm not willing to hurt myself that way anymore. And I'm no longer willing to be scared of other people hurting me that way either. So if you want to be in a space where diversity of thought is really welcomed and prioritized, and you want to be in a space where your identities are not what we are going to judge you over, then hi, I'm Dr. Lee. Welcome to our institute. I hope you stay.
Hey everyone, I think it's imperative for me to speak more. I have been really backing away from social justice conversations and conversations dealing with voting, access to voting, and so on and so forth, because I really have been focusing on self in this moment on many different levels. So for me, I think people are forgetting that your personal values directly are connected to how you vote. And this underlining piece of not holding yourself accountable in these moments, but want to be seen or heard that, oh, I have been shamed. You should be shamed. And I think it's imperative that people are shamed now more than ever. And I think this is the particular piece that other countries have really narrowed in what it looks like to help thy neighbor. No, this country is not built on help thy neighbor. This country is built help thyself, and hopefully your neighbor will help you go to the next level, right? And it's in termly that you're talking about internally you're talking about that you help these people and you create a safe space, but in actuality you're eradicating these safe spaces that you are creating at the same time. So when you're talking about, oh, I create these spaces, but you're internally voting to erase these spaces. And I think there's this psychological piece that we really need to talk about around people in this particular country and the lack of humanity that they have and always had, right? And explicitly in talking around the psychosis, the mental health disparities, and how they actually hate themselves more than they hate other people. But it is out facing more than it is in facing, because I have an ability to put that boot on your neck, right? So you should be shamed. And this is coming from a Black, queer, trans individual, and you need to sit in that and be okay with the shame that you are that is being portrayed towards you. And I think it's imperative that we move into this point of shaming people on how they vote, how their values are exactly against humanity in particular ways. And I'm going to stand 10 toes down on that. And I think in moments like this, when we're seeing everyone's human rights from the ground up being taken away from us, there is no better method than to shame a person from the instance that the complete devaluing of another human being. So yeah, sit in that. I'm not sorry that you are facing that, but also you have aligned yourself in the placement that you want to be. And that is always will be YT supremacy, YT-ness, because it's inherent, as you said, but also the lack of continuous education around what it looks like for these laws or safe spaces or spaces that you're creating is supposed to be for everyone. So yes, I hope it does ruin your business. I hope it continues to ruin the spaces that you're in, and anyone that involves themselves in this particular type of rhetoric or voting. So yeah, wish you the best of luck.
If you voted for him, you were not a safe space. Now let me sum up your video really quick, because you went on a 9-minute justification tour trying to convince people to still like you after you telling the world that you voted for Trump.
After I say this, that you still like me. I hope you still like me.
I'm going to dive into it and tell you exactly why that's wrong. You voted for a man who was not only convicted of SAing a woman, but who also brags about SAing women. And me, as a survivor of SA, I would never feel comfortable going to a trauma center and working with trauma specialists as yourself, knowing that you supported a man who does that. You voted for a man who has decades of recorded racism in his past. You being a multiracial woman of color, what does that make you feel like? You voted for a man who's doing everything he can to make it so women don't have choices over their own bodies. And the one that you should be really concerned about is that you voted for a man who's trying to erase an entire community of people, a community that makes up less than 1% of the entire population, because you said,
owner of the Trauma Institute, mom of a non-binary kiddo.
Not even for your own child. I wonder when your child grows up to be an adult, if they realize that you voted against their own interest. And after all that, the comment section is never wrong, because nobody has to continue liking someone for voting to harm other people, because that's what your vote meant.
So I want to start off this video by saying, like, I have followed you for a while now. I really enjoyed your content around trauma, and I've always thought that, like, you gave really insightful information about how to deal with trauma and healing from it. I think that people are shocked because the environment that you have created is a space where people felt like they were welcomed and like people with marginalized identities were safe, and the kind of content, especially when you are marginalized, you oftentimes are dealing with more instances of trauma. So like this space is a space of healing, and so people are seeking safety there. And so then to find out that you politically align with a party that is outright stated that they are against certain marginalized identities, and then like as we have seen within the legislation of just this past 2 months, actively are making attacks towards marginalized people, is very jarring for people. And I think that they have a right to separate themselves from you or not feel safe with you, because how can you fully care for someone and give them full and comprehensive therapy if you are making decisions outside of the therapy room that are negatively impacting their lives and making it more difficult for them to exist? You mentioned that you have a non-binary child. Like literally non-binary people now cannot receive documentation to represent their identity because of the current president. Like this is a direct thing that he has done that has negatively impacted non-binary people. So I don't know how someone can feel safe in your space and want to heal with you, knowing that you're making decisions that are ultimately causing trauma. If you talk to anyone within the trans community, the majority of people in the trans community are scared right now because what is happening to trans people is a genocide. Like the level of stress that we're feeling, the reasons why we're going to therapists are because of the world conditions that this president is actively interested in making worse for people like us. So I don't understand like where there's this confusion about it. Like, you just have to understand that people are not, a lot of people who you built your platform around representing are not going to feel safe with you anymore. And that's something you have to sit with. I'm not going to demonize you over it or call you names over it because I just don't feel like that's necessary. And at the end of the day, you're going to do what you want to do. But like, I don't know. I just don't, you're not a victim in this circumstance. And people being angry with you is not them victimizing you. You're making decisions on a political level that are negatively impacting their lives. They have every right to be upset about that, especially when they have entrusted their care to you. Huge conflict of interest. I hope that all of your clients find this information. I hope that your marginalized clients find out this information because I personally would not feel comfortable being helped by you in the future, and I'm going to be unfollowing because that it just like it's very jarring to know that like somebody can build their platform around appealing to people with trauma and then go on to politically align themselves with people who are promising to cause trauma to different groups of people.
You did not vote for Kamala and those folks because you thought there was some level of hypocrisy in what they were saying. That they were like, I feel oppressed, I feel this, all the things, and I don't like those people who are actually causing me all this stuff. So you saw hypocrisy in that. You saw hypocrisy in a person saying, those people who are wearing those red hats mean me harm. I don't feel that they are intelligent enough to understand what is happening, that they're in a cult, that they mean harm to not just me, but other people who are so-called different. And you looked at that and said, no, you're the problem. Not the people who are actually out here saying, I want to cause harm. You have said you have an institute about trauma, that you work in the social justice space. I don't believe any of it. And if you do, you are not to be trusted ever. I would never trust you. But the audacity to come on here to say those who don't want to be harmed and saying those people are harmful and they're voting, they're moving in a way that will cause harm and destruction and oppression and just evil. We're somehow wrong for pointing that out and pointing those people out and saying, I don't want to be around you. That's not what compassion. See, that's the problem. Remember the problem with those people who claim to be leftists or on this other side or whatever, have no nuance. Actually don't understand the true meaning of words in practice. This upset me so much because it's dangerous. Because I'm sure that this person has used the fact that they have a non-binary child and that they are in these spaces and that they are multiracial to add some value to the work that she's doing around social justice and trauma informed whatever she's doing. And at the same time, would cause harm. It didn't even think through the fact that it didn't trust the voice of the community. She says she's here to serve and represent her child. That's some scary, scary stuff. You get so caught up in your own rhetoric and your own BS that you cannot actually sit through. The time to have conversation when you're not very clear was before you went into that voting booth. Doesn't do any good now that you've come out of the voting booth and now you have people that love you and want to have these conversations and help you see the light. Well, damn. What did you do? Ohio is screwed. What did you do? You did not do anything to benefit your own child. I could even see if you were voting in a very selfish way, right? Like, I need to vote because my child is non-binary. I need to protect my child. You didn't even do that. You had your stupid rhetoric. I'm just so upset because these are people who are dangerous to community. These people are dangerous to the work because of selfishness. You're not about community. You're not about social justice. You're not a trauma-informed person. And when you are confused, when something doesn't look right, or you don't know, or you don't understand something, that is when you go seek the counsel that you need from whoever you trust in community. Until you get an understanding, you don't open your mouth, you don't make any rash decisions, you don't do anything, because it will cause harm. Do no harm. Those who do community work, social justice, whatever it is, you have to take on that same moniker. You have to have that same energy about doing no harm. And if I don't know if what I'm thinking, feeling, or believing is in that space, I need to do my work and my due diligence. And I'll give you an example. This is when I was in my 20s and I first started doing work in the HIV community. And most of the women that came through had some substance use disorder issue. I was completely unfamiliar with that world. Only in that I had some relatives that used, but I didn't know anything. I had such a bias about how I worked with those women who had those issues. I was like, I didn't like the way they talked about 12-step programs. I would just go get therapy. I don't understand it. And it was judgy. And all in all, I'm thinking I am doing the right thing, right? I'm like, no, I'm trying to redirect you. Because I'm in my little right 27-year-old space. But if I was not open to learn and had that conversation with my assistant at that time and say, you know what, I don't get this. And this is a real conversation. I don't understand this. I need to understand this better. We literally said, I need to understand it, because I'm not going to be able to do my job, because 80% of the women are coming here have smoked crack at some point. So I got to get a better understanding of what this is before I do harm to these women and what I'm saying. I worked at that. I surrounded myself with people who have this lived experience. I had conversations. I went to meetings. I did my best to understand and then say, wait a minute, I actually do relate to these women. There's something there. But I stopped myself from doing harm, because I found myself doing that a little bit, going, and luckily, like I said, God bless having the assistant that I had at the time who was like, Rhonda, girl, this ain't it. I did not challenge her. I simply said, what am I doing? Like, what do you see that I'm doing, and how can we fix it? Because we need to do this work. Y'all got to get your egos out of the way. But it is dangerous on either side. Red, blue, purple, pink. If you don't be humble, thank you, Kendrick, be humble. Know when you don't know something or understand something, or something just doesn't feel, go seek, read a book, look it up, think it through. But that one vote did matter to your own family. That's what's the crazy part of this whole thing. But she has me so pissed off, because I watched that whole thing and I was like, this is some bullshit. I'm now coming back, see, and trying to be soft and please be gentle with me. You were not gentle with your vote. That was rash, that was harsh, and it was ugly. And you were here to do harm because you didn't like what your leftist social justice folks were saying about those folks who meant them harm. Ugh, I hate folks like this in the community. Dangerous, dangerous, dangerous.
This is exactly the reason why, black women more specifically have what they call trust issues. This is the reason why it's as if people that look like me find it very difficult to trust people and to trust their opinion. During the course of the campaign and all of that, so many people were all out, and in the surface of their platforms and all of that, and the way at which they spoke, you will often think that, oh, this person have an intention of voting right, or the same way that you thought that they were going to vote. So many, other races also have these characteristics. Like so many of them, when you look up to them, when you like the kind of thing they do, and you actually expected them to have a kind of view, like when you create a safe place, it's just like what really happened with Mama T. I don't know if you guys have you know encountered this Mama T controversy. I actually stitched her here. She's someone that has the same platform in which this lady has. Like, she has about like millions of followers, almost above 5 million and all of that. I'm talking about Mama T. And she has that because so many people confided in her, sees her as a safe place, and so many people, because she often talk about um depression, she talks about discrimination, she talks about race and cis, and how people treat each other. She created a room to make you feel safe. She was actually a pan colored woman, and because of that, she created and had so many audience, both different races of audience. And at the cost of this election and all of that, she does not really talk about politics. The Mama T I'm talking about, she does not have nothing to do with politics. Everything that she's known for is just trying to make you feel good about yourself, not being discriminatory, like treat your fellow human being the way at which you want them to, treat you. Like she's all for people who are going through depression, who has so many, just like this lady right here with her confession. And all of a sudden, something happened during the case of, I think, the elections and all of that. And people get to realize that she's actually a Margaret supporter. This actually got people reacting. People were so disappointed. Like, she didn't really come out, but with the way the statement that she was making, people got to find out that she has always been a Margaret supporter. And because of that, so many people were so disappointed with her. People were like, oh my God, you are all out talking about how people should treat each other well, how you don't really support all of the discrimination that is happening, all of the variances, and you ended up being the same person that you are advocating against. Like, this is just the case of this lady right now. She's all about whatsoever social, whatsoever that she felt that she is, and she created a safe place for her people, her audience, and her kind of work. Like. And now you thought to yourself that people who often talk about how they want to help people, they want to do this, are just laughing. Like, those are the people you shouldn't trust. Because of that, you decided to go and vote for someone whom you know vividly well that has a background of discriminatory. You had someone that, everyone know his background and all of that. But people are looking up to you as they already have this kind of person that you represent. Someone who fight for someone who couldn't stand, you know, everything that Orangeman is doing right now. This is what you have created, the narration, like what you have given out to the public. But this is not you. How can you say that no one should judge someone based on his or her own political beliefs, though your political beliefs also contribute to the kind of person that you are? You know, your political beliefs is your daily life. Is your daily life. It contributes to your personality. There is nothing like you should differentiate your political beliefs from your personal self. Let's just take, for instance, your personal self is all about creating a safe place for your audience or for your client or something. But you go ahead to stand with someone who don't create safe place. Like, it does not even really make sense. You cannot be spitting A while you are doing B. You cannot be you can't be two-faced. No. If you are standing for A, it should specifically be A. You can't, in your audience or your clients, you appear as someone that, oh my God, I am in for all of the depression. I'm in for standing for people who couldn't talk. I'm in for, oh, I can stand where someone is being maltreated and all of that. But at the end of the day, you support someone that has the attributes that you think that you represent. It does not really make sense. And you think, and you're here talking about how people shouldn't judge you, shouldn't be angry, and people shouldn't, try to disassociate themselves with their relationship or whatsoever because of their political beliefs. It does it does have everything to do with your personality. Your political beliefs does have everything to do with whom you are and the person that you truly are. You know, there are so many people who have so many personality disorder and all of that, and this kind of people shouldn't be someone that is considered to have a safe place. Just look at around you right now. What is happening? You are one of the people who contributed to everything that is happening. You are one of the people who contributed to what was like people losing their job. You are one of the people. And you are all here talking about how you are a safe place to people, but you are one of the people who contributed to people who lost their job. Like, just make it make sense. There is no justification. I know maybe she tried to make this video because of it. She has been saying that she have really effed around. But come of it. You can't pretend to be A while you're actually B. Anyway, lovelies, wanna just leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video. And please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We're just here for educational and informative purposes. So guys, if you've not subscribed to this channel, do your girl a huge favor to click on the subscription button, like, and I will see you lovelies when I upload the next leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video. Please subscribe to this channel if you're yet to do that, like, and I will see you lovelies when I upload the next one.